People have returned from work now. This news, should be known by many more people than this afternoon. What are the people saying?
Absolutely. Good evening to you. We did speak to many young students in the Durban CBD throughout the day, just when news broke of the first case of coronavirus here in KwaZulu-Natal. And while we were interviewing people, we actually had to let them know and break the news to them of what has happened. Many of them shocked, many of them saying that or questioning how did the case come into South Africa after we do know government had promised stringent measures be put in place to avoid this from happening, and others saying it's time now to research, to get online, to understand what does this virus mean. For many people in Durban, in KZN, while this virus of course is a global crisis, many people were not as aware as now they say they should be, considering it's close to home. I'm actually here in Hilton where the first case of coronavirus has been confirmed. A Hilton resident who had traveled to Italy returned to South Africa on March 1st. By March 3rd, he realized he had symptoms of pain and cough and fever. He came to a hospital close to where I am right now, and it was at that point he realized what was happening. This was confirmed to be a case of coronavirus. He is now in isolation, so too is the doctor. But just to speak more about the feeling of the community here in Hilton, I have with me the ward councillor, Councillor Craig Millar. Councillor, thank you for joining us on Newsroom Africa.
Good evening, Karinda.
First, tell me about what are the residents saying to you? Have you been receiving calls? Is there panic on the streets? What's happening in this community of Hilton?
The residents are obviously concerned, and they have turned to me for information. I've said to them, get informed, don't panic. I think the best thing to do is for people to remain calm and to inform themselves about the virus. That's important.
Councillor, I must ask you, have you spoken to the doctor and the patient, and how are they doing now?
I've not spoken to them yet. Obviously, the information came to me quite late this afternoon, but I will get in contact with the relevant people tomorrow. I have been in contact with the DA spokesperson on health, Dr. Rishigan Varana, and he is liaising with the provincial department and keeping me informed as much as possible. I think it's important that the department communicate with the portfolio committee as well as communicate with myself so that I can disseminate information to my community. Information is power, and I want to ensure that my community are kept informed as to all the developments.
Absolutely. And finally, Councillor, of course, this is the first case in South Africa. All eyes are on Hilton now as we understand and learn more about what is happening. But what is your message then to the rest of the country on behalf of residents here?
Well, the Hilton residents have a great tradition of standing together in times of crisis, and this is just another case in which we will do that. We will stand together, we'll communicate with each other, and we will get through this.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. Councillor Craig Millar, he's the ward councillor for this Hilton area, and very important points he's making there, calling for the Department of Health, of course, to engage with himself so he can engage with the community members. Information is power, he says, and then of course saying that people need to research, they need to understand what is happening. Hilton, he says, will stay strong, of course, as we learn more about what is happening in this community and of course on how the patient is recovering.
Well, thank you for that. Our reporter Karinda coming to us live from Hilton. That's where the first patient who's tested positive for the coronavirus in South Africa has been residing. The councillor there is mentioning something that's very important. Information is key, and that's exactly what we need at this very point, to avoid panic among South Africans. A little later in the show, we'll be speaking to a doctor about what are some of the signs that you need to look out for, and what are some of the things that you need to be cognizant of as we deal with this coronavirus outbreak in our country.